Bring it on. Want some, get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate. You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything.
It's a pirate's life for me.
Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirates.
It is a first down. Pirates.
Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it.
I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there.
We will get Omaha. I can promise you that.
Painted purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
Yeah. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome into Extra Innings right here on the Sports Objective as we're in Season 7, hard to believe. And I believe this is Episode 6 of Extra Innings here on the Sports Objective. And let's start off with, ladies and gentlemen, the man that's been with me pretty much every step of the way on this great show, Kyle Barber. How are you, man?
What's going on, Dave? Yeah, I was looking at the intro for those that are viewing and not just listening. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and not a podcast app, we got to change the intro video until football season. Matt Simmons and Bubba will be back with us in the summer as we get towards the fall. But seeing both of them pop up there reminds me we need to change that intro video.
Yep, we sure do. And with us tonight, glad to have the national champion. He is a champion on and off the field, as I like to say, Coach Paul Hill. How you doing, Coach?
How you doing? Busy week, but a good week, productive week.
Are you talking about you or the Pirates?
Both.
Well, hey, we're going to bring Landis here in just a second, but I'll say, Coach, it's tough to lose to UNCW, but, they always have a great program. We'll talk about that. But I was concerned about that game, and we'll talk about that why in just a minute. But right now, let's introduce our great guest. And like I told Landis, he's welcome anytime.
Hey, how's it going, Dave? Thanks for having me.
So, Landis,
well, Dave, that was a piss poor job introduction.
I was trying to get Coach. Coach missed the pitch here. I was trying to give it a pitch to Coach to help me out with it. So, Coach, if you
let me say a little bit about Landis. Landis is a dear friend of mine. He has a lot of knowledge in baseball, and I'll let him explain. He's from D.H. Conley. That's a great high school. That's where I graduated from. So he got good blood, and played some college and some minor league baseball. I'll let him explain all that. But he's a teacher and a coach and a mentor. And we can't have enough of men and women out there helping our young people. So hats off to him and Coach Landis Wilson.
Yeah, thank you, Coach Hill. Appreciate that. Coach Hill's always hooking me up with cool stuff. He's always doing something fun. So he was like, Dave would love to have you up here, and I appreciate y'all having me. But yeah, I'm from Greenville. I played Southern Pitt when I was younger, and then graduated from Conley. We won the 05 state championship then. That was a good squad we had. Then we won the Legion there too. A lot of good players with that. And then I played ball at Coastal, Pitt Community, and University of Arkansas Little Rock. I was a catcher the whole time through. I did that, and then I didn't get drafted. I signed a free agency with independent ball in St. Louis for River City Rascals. Played there a year. Played in Rockland Boulders, which is the same league as what's now in Kinston, the
Frontier League.
It was the Frontier League then, and then it was the Can-Am League at that point, but they kind of merged all into one. So it's the same league that they brought the Bird Dogs, I believe, are into. And then I went to Australia for a year. That was awesome. I was trying to play in Japan and South Korea. Didn't do that. I just stayed in Australia for a year. That was really cool. And then I came back and played for the Camden River Sharks in the Atlantic League, and that was pretty much it for me. And then I did coach at Pitt for like 4 or 5 months, but I teach now. I live on a pecan farm, do a lot of stuff like that. So,
Landon, what was the baseball team like in Australia?
I would say so. I played on 2 different teams. I played up in a league in Cairns. It's in the tropics. Talent's not like over here. You know, they play a lot of cricket. They play a lot of rugby, stuff like that. The talent wasn't the same. What'd you say?
Sorry about that. I was going to say, and to the Australian rules football.
Yeah, they got Australia rules football. I mean, those guys get after it. I mean, that rugby over there, they got like 3 different versions of that. I mean, it's absolutely – those guys are – it's a whole nother level of – I mean, they'll go work during the day and then play like men's league rugby in the afternoon.
Oh, my God.
But anyways, on the baseball, it's not as good as over here, but they love it. I was in a good league up in Cairns. It was okay. The talent, I really did well in it. It was a lot different, but it's like the guys will pay you like in Japan and stuff. They have like industry leagues where they work for a team that's based in the industry. And so the guy who brought me over there he owned a big demolition company, and he had a league, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll pay you to come over here." And then I played there, and then I played in Brisbane, which is like a bigger city south, like a big city. And that was more in like trying to get in the ABL and playing down there for the Bandits and stuff. So that was a lot of young guys who signed free agencies, young Australians, 19, 18, 19, 20-year-old Australians that came over here to play and would go back home and play in that league too. So kind of like their major leagues over there, but nothing like over here. You know, guys over here are so conditioned to play. But it was a lot of fun. I'll be quite honest with you. It was a blast.
Nice.
We're glad you have a part of the team tonight as we're discussing Pirate baseball. And if you have a question or comment, put it in the comment section. Pirates go 3-1 for the week, Coach, and Kyle and Landis. And just want to get y'all's thoughts. I guess we have opening comments, if you will, on the week that was. You lose to UNCW in Fayetteville, and I was curious. I'll just throw it out to you guys. I was curious to see how the Pirates would bounce back. And I know Memphis is Memphis, but at the same time, it's good to get a sweep, and it's no place like home.
You have enough league play. You want to start off 3-0 in league play, so it gives you a little bit of a cushion. You want to obviously you get into league play, winning the weekend series are what's most important. I do think the league may be a little up this year compared to the years past, which we actually need. Our RPI right now is pretty low. We're not performing well midweek, so we need the league to be up. As long as we perform well in league play, that'll move us up in the through the RPI rankings. What we need for the fan base, nice to sweep Memphis, and that is most important. But you're losing these midweek games to these in-state schools. You had a chance a couple weeks ago to take 3 out of 3 from Coastal and didn't get it done. Lost the Sunday game in extra innings. You're losing. You go back to the Carolina series, we got swept, and now you're losing midweek to Wilmington. I think that's really got the fan base, being a little not so happy. You get spoiled with all the success we've had in baseball. So nice sweep this weekend over Memphis, which is what's most important. But knowing how our fans are, it'd be nice if we can figure out a way to beat Duke Wednesday night or Tuesday night, whichever night that game is.
It's on Tuesday. And what were your thoughts, Coach?
Same thing. When you can sweep, through the weekend, it don't matter who it is. Wins are wins. And as Kyle was saying, 3-0 off to a good start. And these in-state rivalries, we've got to pick up some wins somehow. It's just, like you said, the fan base, they expect to win, and the Pirates are good enough to win. We just got to put it together to find, and piece it together. Wilmington's a great ball club. I mean, and Duke. I mean, you go down the list. The teams that will be playing in state. If they're not ranked, and there's so many good ball clubs out there now, some of them should be ranked. With the talent level and stuff. But I'll take 3-1 every week if we can do it. Again, if you can get a sweep and the magic number, those 40 games is huge. And we just got to find, and piece it together, and do some midweek, pick up some wins.
And Landis, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think UNCW is they're always in the regional here, so I think it's good to kind of early in the season, almost it's not good to lose, but kind of be like, hey, these guys we see in a regional a lot, and they come ready to play every time. So I agree though, picking up those in-state wins are definitely boost the morale. Watching Memphis this week, Memphis was surprisingly really tough. Not to say anything bad about them, but it was 3-2 in the first game, 3-1. It was the first game was second and third. The guy struck out the guy at the end of the game. So I think that showed a lot with the Pirates just being able to hold a one-run lead. That's not easy to do. Memphis was actually really tough. They were kind of a hard-nosed ball club. I know they got beat pretty good today. They walked a lot of guys, but and hit a lot of guys. But it could have easily gone the other way. Like, it was pretty close that first game. It was, and the defense was good on both ends too. The defense was really good with both teams. So I feel like 3-0 to start the conference, you got to find a way to win. So I feel like it's a positive. Winning's always good.
And guys, when you look at the schedule, like we were talking about, you look at a good Duke team coming in on Tuesday night at Duke. That game is on the road, tough one, and then you basically have 5. This is what's tough. You got 5 straight road games. You got at Duke, at Rice, and then the following week we'll have at UNCW, Wilmington. So it's a chance for us to get a little payback in. But right now you got to focus. Duke is on the clock, and Coach has done a great job there at Duke. And Duke was like growing up. Duke baseball was not really good. It was good way before my time. And he's come in. Coach Pollard has come in and done a fantastic job. Where you have to respect, even though it's an in-state rival, you still have to respect that he's going to have great talent, pitching, batting, hitting, and so what I think for me, I think the word I think we've used a lot on the show this so far and this season is consistency. We're seeing a lot of bright spots. The bats are starting to warm up, but we've just got to stay healthy and keep grinding. And guys, right now, look at Coach. Just a couple weeks ago, we were underwater. We were not 500, one game under 500. You look now and at the schedule, we're 19 wins. Okay, so you're halfway there, and
I don't 15. Yeah,
15. I'm going crazy. Sorry about that. I was thinking about half.
So we're gonna go 4-0 this week. Dave's just predicted it.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, 15-9. We're 15-9, but I was going to say, my point was we're getting close to that halfway point of having half the wins we need. But you guys talk about looking at the schedule. At Duke, and then like I was talking about at Rice.
Yeah, Rice with a coaching change, fired their head coach and promoted the former Texas head coach, who was the head coach of the Longhorns, when Pirates played them in the Supers.
Right here, yeah.
Somebody help me out with his name, but he'll be the new head coach at Rice this weekend.
I can't think of that, but he's the one that said that Pirate fans will spill beer on like people out in the jungle and all this crazy.
Well, thankfully he don't have to come to Greenville. We have to go to Houston. He might be frightened. But interesting that he is now the head coach at Rice. So I didn't even realize he'd been fired at Texas.
Yeah, I think was it last year. Off the top of my head, I think he was fired last year.
Okay, so guys, from very young baseball team. And you're getting now kind of towards the middle of the season. We're playing a lot of freshmen. Who are you guys seeing? Particularly, not just this weekend, but we'll particularly look at this weekend and over this past week. Who are you guys seeing this stepping up that's in that freshman class that are young players that are starting to turn that corner and not play like freshmen anymore?
Well, as a whole, I think. The freshman class, a lot of them have shown, they can do it, and they've had the opportunities to get in there. As far as pinpointing won. I think they've all contributed. As far as as far as infielders and outfielders, you've had some injuries. The guys have come back and produced and stuff. But I think having a young team like this, I think you're going to have some people step up and surprise some coaching staff and the players and stuff. What happens when you have a team like this? You're still not rolling the dice, but you're trying to figure out the best fit, and they're still trying to do that. And I think they're doing a great job, and they're going to win ball games. But it's still young, and you'll have somebody peak out 2 or 3 weeks, and then somebody else steps up, and that's how the baseball season kind of goes with a young team. As far as experience, they're getting experience.
Yeah.
They just get the opportunity and perform. And I really think that this sweep this weekend is a plus in the right direction for everybody. I think it's going to be a good thing.
Landis, anybody stick out to you this weekend? Any of the young players starting to step up that you're seeing kind of turn the corner?
Yeah, the lefty that hit the walk-off, I guess the 10-run walk-off, he was Davin Whitaker. He's a freshman, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was – first pitch he hit off the foul pole. That's you can step in the game. A lot of guys pinch hit and hit not a lot, but you see it a lot. Like guy kind of amped up, hits it, like that. But I think that was maybe like his fifth at bat. He nailed that ball. It was a line drive. So I think that was a really a big positive for him in the pitching too, because good thing about ECU is it's always got a kind of an intense atmosphere. And as a freshman, you kind of got to get broke into that. Guys who don't play in front of that all the time, you kind of got to get used to that. So I think, like Coach Hill was saying, you kind of they're trying to find the right parts at the right time. And I think if he can find some freshmen that are just got it, I think that's going to take off. Like the guy hitting the walk-off today, that was huge.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, that's big. And that saved a lot of pitching too. That kind of stopped the game. 7 innings, that just helped everything, because now you got a guy who can just step in and just it was on the line. It got out quick.
And put the game away. The game was kind of out of reach. Memphis today sounded like they had some kind of ailment, stomach virus, something going through their pitching staff, so they were kind of low on pitching anyway. And hit a home run like that, kind of put things away. And put it on cruise control for the rest of the day today after 2 relatively close games Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. Because
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the guy that started today, he was in center field batting third the first 2 games. Yep. He was going 94 off the mound. So I don't know if he was like their number 3 guy, because, a starting pitcher.
No, I don't think so normally. But he was throwing hard.
He was throwing hard, but he was hitting everybody. I'll tell you what, he nailed Dixon.
Right. I'm ready to play.
He hit 2 or 3 in a row, right, left, right. Oh my gosh. He was throwing it though. More power to him. But yeah, I agree. I don't think the pitching was, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was the normal way, because they brought the center fielder to start the Sunday game.
No, according to the announcers on Patrick Johnson and Mully on ESPN Plus, there was a virus running through the pitching staff. Okay,
makes sense.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, Landis and Coach, you've played. I know it's our home field, but how intimidating is an atmosphere like a Clark LeClair, which is a lot of announcers, talking heads have called it an SEC-like environment. How hard is that for a kid that's coming in? They're used to playing high school, and Coach, you played there. How hard is it to get used to the fans? And I don't mean that in a bad way, just like as far as your energy, as far as like not getting too amped up, those sort of things. You control your emotions.
Well, I can personally tell you, because when I played 2 years at East Carolina and went to Westland, we came back to play East Carolina back when, D3 and D1, D2 all played each other. It was intense. it was a different level because, you know, they said, "Oh, he's back." I'm purple and gold all the way. I just happen to have some blue and gold in me at the same time. But playing at East Carolina, and again, as Kyle said earlier, starting off the podcast, our fan base, and we got great fans. We just got to keep that intensity for these young guys. They're going to produce for us. And it's a static electricity in the stadium when you have that place rocking and the jungle, doing its thing. It's like an extra player out there. And especially, they're out there, and I've been out there for quite a bit. Landis has. I'm sure you guys have too. And our fans, just doing what they do best, trying to get in the players' heads to try to any little edge you can get in baseball, because the game's won and lost by inches. And, whether it's the inch on the plate, inch on the foul line, base hit, inch making this play, or it ends up being a base hit. So, we've got great fans, and coming in there, I think most of the teams, if not all, get amped up to play us because of the electricity in the stadium. And because of that, our Pirate guys over there get amped up. Landis, did you ever play at East Carolina?
Yeah.
When you were down at Coastal or Little Rock?
Yeah, when I was at Coastal my freshman year, I wasn't a starting catcher, but they brought me along. I was on the bench the whole time. But, the preparation with Gilmore and Schnall, the same guys Schnall's the head coach of Coastal now, but it was a preparation where, we would get in the bullpen before, and the pitchers would have to hound the pitcher, and you can't say nothing to him. It was a training to get ready for being able to handle somebody just ragging you constantly. So it was did that at several colleges where we would get in the bullpen, and you could say whatever you wanted to him. You couldn't take it personal. You couldn't do that. And when I was at Coastal, I wanted to beat ECU. So I would tell them, I'm like, look, the outfield, they're going to go at you. A lot of guys knew it, but they're really going to go at you. And that was back in 2006 too, where it was it could get really wide open. And but you kind of got to learn to feed off of it. I think that's kind of the thing as a player. You kind of got to enjoy it to a degree. It came to a point where you can't stop it, so you might as well. Some of the stuff's really funny too, to be honest with you. That's
Yeah,
so,
you say Landis, when you were at Coastal, that was still Harrington Field here.
Yeah,
right.
So the old jungle. Just curious. So you went to Coastal. They were in the Big South during that time, and then you ended up at Arkansas Little Rock, who at that time was in the Sun Belt.
right.
So that was Sun Belt's changed a lot since then. What was the best atmosphere in the Sun Belt at that time? I would imagine it would probably be South Alabama or either Lafayette.
Yeah, Lafayette was intense. Yeah. Lafayette was so much fun. We went there. I'll never forget it. And it was like ECU, but Cajun. I can see that. Yeah. Cajun ECU, and everybody was grilling. So we went out there, and all you smelled was just grilled food. Just everything was grilling. And they were just hounding us when we got off the bus, hounding us. I mean, from BP, everybody was grilling. They swept us. The whole weekend. And I'll never forget when we were leaving, it was like the most disrespectful thing because they offered us so much food. It was like they were so nice when they beat us. It just like
yeah, and I've heard about the guys in the jungle doing similar.
Yeah, they're like so nice.
Paul Hill did that. In fact, I heard Paul Hill is the one that spilled the beer on that coach.
I got it on videos.
Well, you need to put it out on YouTube. It'll go viral, I'm sure. But
oh, Lordy.
And on top of Louisiana. Oh, sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that that's laughable to hear. Yes, there's a lot of comments that are made and all that, but I've never seen disrespect like somebody spilling a beer or anything like that. The people are great out in the jungle. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I just thought that was laughable. And just because it's a great atmosphere, you should respect that and go in there. And they beat us anyway. but don't make excuses or reasons why you're not going to win or talk bad about the fans. I just thought that was classless. But.
Yeah, and Dave's talking about Texas's former head coach is now at Rice. But Landis, you had you were going to touch on the Louisiana comments some more.
And to top it off, like when I was catching, all I smelled was like hot peppers. I'm not kidding you. I know their logo's
I
was
bet.
like, what in the world is that? I actually asked the batter. It was like in the middle of the game. I'm like, what is that? I said, y'all are grilling out so hard that my nose is like burning like a jalapeno. And the Tabasco, he's like, no, the Tabasco down the road. So not only was it just like hectic from there, it just smelled like hot peppers because the Tabasco plant was right down the road, just making Tabasco sauce.
So Lafayette smells like you would think it would smell. It smells Cajun and it's hot pepper. Okay, all right.
And you go over like a 2-hour bridge to get there. Like this 2-hour bridge over the bayou. So you feel
wow.
Is it literally 2 hours, or are you exaggerating?
Well, I mean, it felt like 2 hours. We were on that bridge in Swamp for don't quote me. It was a while.
Hey guys, let's take some comments really quick. Our good buddy Shill Powell from the Queen City of Charlotte. He says, "Greetings, gentlemen, from the Queen City. It's baseball season, but also lacrosse season across the country." His son Randy plays there at Charlotte Catholic. He said, "Forgot to mention former ECU great middle linebacker Jeff Carr and I have tickets behind home plate for the UNC Charlotte game at the Charlotte Knight Stadium Friday night, April the 11th. And then he says, "Listen, I'm missing a Charlotte Catholic lacrosse game that Randy, his son, will have several college coaches attending. So the Pirates better win," because I was joking. I said, "You better get a sweep for us." And by the way, Coach Hill, Josh Thomas says, "Coach Hill loved the hat."
That's from Tim Cunningham and Parker Bird.
Parker Bird, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Josh says, "That's true. We've always fed opposing fans whether we win or lose. The best memory was the Quinnipiac players coming out and hanging out with us after we beat them." I remember that Josh, they were talking about how, it's the atmosphere that we have and the fact they got the opportunity just to be in a regional and to play with, at Clark LeClair. So I do remember that. And there's a lot of great players over the years that have done that and have mad respect for the Pirates. So let's see here. And then Johnny Robertson, JR says, "Welcome back, Braxton Trammell." Absolutely. No doubt about that. You guys, as far as obviously you don't want to look ahead, but I did want to tell the Pirates when it's all said and done, I have to remind myself this is March, and I know that again we don't want to lose, but plenty of baseball left, a lot of good baseball left for us. And Coach, when I've said this a few times, and I'll say it again, now that we have the other guys with us, that when I heard that it was going to be Coach Cliff Godwin's best coaching job ever, it's time for our fans. Let's let this be our best fan job ever. The best fans. We are the best fans in college baseball, period. Let's go out there and support the Pirates like as if they've won, like every single game. They're undefeated.
Some of your best season or best season in sports is the adversity of getting where you're trying to go. You want as many wins as you can get and limit the losses, but the adversity, and I can speak, the national championship that we won, we had so much adversity. Our backs were against the wall the whole season. And we had a great leader, Mike Fox and Billy Godwin, and Charlie Flowers, our coaching staff. And we had guys that believed that we could do it. And when guys went down with an injury or guys weren't performing, we didn't take it as a setback. We knew we had some back and had to work a little harder in the bullpen, in the cages or whatever, hitting a few extra ground balls after practice. And we gelled together and we ended up doing something very special. So we've talked about this and stuff. Cliff Godwin's doing a great job. The players are playing their hearts out. You're going to have good games. You're going to have bad games. Players are going to have good days, and you just got to be able to bounce back, believe in each other, which I know they do, and good things will happen. I think this is going to be a special season. I said this, a couple of weeks ago or last week. Adversity, I think, is going to propel them to where everybody wants them to go. I really do.
No doubt. And by the way, guys, Will Landon, what's up, Will? He says, "What's up, fellas? Good to see the Pirates get the sweep and start conference playoff, right? A lot of these young guys are looking better every game." No doubt, Will. In fact, we've talked about this ad nauseum, the fact that the only way you can get experience is to play the games. It doesn't matter how many practices you have. I know Coach and Landis can talk about that, but it doesn't matter how many practices you have, how many scrimmages you have, how many fall ball games you have. The fact of the matter is you've got to get behind the wheel.
Yeah, Dave, I was going to Coach and Landis can both speak to this as we talk about the season goes on. We get into conference play. Pirates head to Rice. It's coming weekend in Houston, and your second conference series of the year, and non-conference. Unless I'm forgetting something, we did not have a true road series. You had the game in Chapel Hill, but one of those games was also in Durham at a neutral site. You've had several neutral site games in Fayetteville against Gardner Webb, against Wilmington. You've done some midweek trips to Richmond for VCU and here and there, but no true road series. So now you get in the conference play and you get your first true road series and you get on a plane, something else the team hasn't done all year. So from a coaches and players standpoint, talk about that, getting on an airplane. Who knows? For some of these young kids, this might be their first time on a plane. I didn't fly till I was in my 20s. So, now you haven't played a true road series. You're getting your first one, in conference play. Now, Rice ain't what they used to be. Haven't been in a while. But still, you got to travel all the way out to Houston. Talk about that from a player standpoint and a coach's standpoint. Coach, how you would deal with that, Coach Hill, that is, how you would deal with that, taking a group of young guys on their first true road series and having to fly all the way to Texas after not playing really a road series yet this year.
Well, you got to stay focused, but you want to enjoy the journey. They're young men, and like you said, some of them have not been on a plane. Some of them may not have been as far as the western part of North Carolina. Who knows? You want to keep it exciting, but you got to keep that focus. And we've got a mission to do. You usually have early practice, get there, eat dinner together, eat breakfast together. You do everything together. You have a little free time. I don't mean going out and, checking out the town. You kind of do that as a team. But you're there for one purpose to, play baseball and represent East Carolina University with a lot of class, which our guys do, and our coaching staff. They do a great job. But, me personally, my first trip flying was with East Carolina, and that's when we won at James Madison, the CAA, up at Richmond Brave Stadium, and flew down to Tallahassee in the Southeast Conference. And I think it was South Alabama, Maine, back when they were good, and the Seminoles. I mean, that was tough that year, but very excited. But you have your game face on, and you take that energy and excitement, and and just enjoy it. And when called upon, you got to be ready. You get in there, do the best you can, and learn from it. Landis, what was your first?
I think it's
trip?
Yeah. When I was in the minor leagues, that's when the traveling would get to you, because you really couldn't you have to learn so the hard part is getting in the routine, right? You're in a routine and then it changes up. So now you're used to being at home all the time, doing this is the way you prepare. Then now you're on a flight. Now you're in a hotel. Now you have to figure out the routine So I think ECU, it's going to be a good thing for them to see how they do on the road, because a lot of other factors go into it like that. So some guys, some teams, they like it. It kind of mixes it up a little bit. It's not as much to think about because you're literally just going from point A to point B, and you go to the field, you get on the bus, you go to the field. It's not like you're at home where you have to, you got a lot of other things. You're at your house and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a telling sign as to how it's going to go, because if they get to where they want to be, they're not going to be at home anyway. Obviously regionals, super regionals would love to be at home, but Omaha's not at home. So being used to being uncomfortable on the road is key to being a good ball player, in my opinion. Especially when you get to a level where you're playing every day and you're on a bus every day, you're on flying every day doing that. But I think it's going to be good, especially going all the way to Texas too. So I don't know. It could go either way. Some teams play good on the road, some teams don't.
What do you, in your opinion, what is the easier road trip? Is it taking a bus, 2 hours to Richmond and playing a game, then taking 2 hours back, or is it getting on an airplane, flying somewhere, and being in a hotel all weekend? Which is actually an easier road trip?
I guess if I was playing for ECU, I would be excited about going to Houston, Texas. To be honest with you, I think I would be excited about that. But that can also factor into being too excited, right? You get too amped, which can kind of throw you off to a plan. But I think easier in terms of, I would say probably I would like to fly there. I think that would be easier because you kind of get everything. You kind of get it's. I would be more excited to do it. I feel like on the bus you kind of get monotonous on a bus.
It kind of brings back the high school days or Legion and the same old. But yeah, you jump on a plane and you're wearing your
big time.
Yeah, purple and gold, and you got your matching bags, and you see all the coaching staff, and a lot of times fans are there greeting you and departing. It's pretty, well, it's a lot of excitement. It's very cool.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have a couple questions for you. Let's see where we're going. Okay, let's go to Shell. Shell says, quick question. I was not able to watch the games this weekend as I normally do, but I heard Cliff mention we got in trouble for Bryant Packard coaching first. What was the deal with that? I hadn't heard about that. So
yeah, I heard about it, but don't know the details. Either one of you guys have the details for that?
I don't.
Landis, did you see it that game? You were there.
I noticed they switched it up. I noticed they put Coach Godwin at third and Palumbo back at first. And all I know about it is what Godwin said was that they got a violation. Someone put in a violation, but because Bryant Packard was the first. I don't know what happened. That's what he said. And so
correct.
He said Palumbo was one of the best first base coaches in the country, and that it's no big deal. Pretty much that something was not right on the technical side, that he wasn't allowed, that Packard wasn't allowed to be at first. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I think Godwin
basically somebody from Memphis, or did it occur on Friday night? The violation.
I know. Godwin was coaching third on Friday.
Okay, so it was probably maybe Wednesday at Wilmington against Wilmington and Fayetteville. I don't know. Just trying to figure out where the violation came from. But we'll do more research on that. I should have did my research already.
We got the answer right here. Thank you, Josh Thomas. Cliff got a violation because Pack is a volunteer assistant.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay, and as a volunteer assistant, he's not allowed to coach a base.
He's one of the coaching staff, but he's
not supposed to be on the field.
You really can't be on the coaching pass,
Okay.
All right. I didn't want to comment because I didn't know. As much things have changed through the years. Appreciate that, Josh.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
No doubt. In fact, Justin Butts, want to say hello to Justin. Justin, let's ask Justin the question about how were the umpires this weekend? Being that you're an umpire, you're our expert guy, Justin, for umpires. How were the umpires this weekend? We'll see about that.
Landis, you played catcher throughout throughout your career, so you got an up close personal relationship with umpires. You got any good stories about certain umpires that that you liked or didn't like, or you could tell? You ever seen umpires just almost intentionally get aggravated and just start calling strikes on guys?
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I would have coaches yelling at me, but they were actually talking to the umpire, so they wouldn't get tossed out. So they would be saying stuff to me like, "That's terrible, Landis." And I'm like looking, and he's actually talking to the umpire. Yeah. So the umpire turns to him. He'd be like, "Don't you?" He's like, "I'm talking to my catcher. I'm talking to my catcher." But with an umpire, I try to be, I try to establish what the strike zone is, and I try to make them keep that same strike zone from the first inning, right? So if this ball is a strike, if this pitch here is a strike, it's got to be a strike all game.
So you just wanted the consistent strike zone, even if it was a horrible strike zone, as long as it was consistent.
Yeah, as long as it's consistent, we can work with that. But like once it starts going, this is a strike, the next thing you know it's a ball, now it's a strike, then everybody's just guessing, and that's the worst, to be honest with you.
I can comment on this. The catchers made me look really good through my years, so we appreciate Landis and all those catchers out there. Yes. I will say this, and Landis hit on that. If he likes middle in or something on righties, and that's his, he's going to call out all that. If you're consistent and you hit that spot, he's going to give you that pitch. Or if he's a little bit upper in the zone, which, most pitchers don't like that. I didn't like it. But if you kept it down low, and even though it wasn't his zone, but you were consistent there, and somebody like Landis was framing it and, holding it there maybe an extra second or two every once in a while and getting in his head, you can get those umpires to start calling your pitch versus what they like to call. Yeah. Happened many times through the year, and Landis being a catcher, they were so huge with that, and you definitely don't want to, piss off the umpire. But yeah, the catchers were always the liaison between the head coach and blue behind the plate. And Landis is exactly right, because I've been on the player side and the coach's side, and he's chewing out Landis, but he's talking to the umpire the whole time.
I had a question, being that this is the first time I think we've ever had a pitcher and a catcher on this show in the 7 years we've been doing it.
That we know of.
Yeah, that I can remember. But
some people are going to get that joke, some people won't.
Yeah, exactly. So, talk about the relationship between, we know, stating the obvious, how important pitcher and catcher are, and how there's some catchers that can, say, hey, I can catch with anyone. And then there's some pitchers like, man, there's only one catcher for me. How does the relationship between a pitcher and catcher, how do you get that to be like synchronized? Or I don't know the right word for it.
You got to babysit pitchers, Dave. Yeah, you got to babysit them, because they're majority of the time full of anxiety when they go out there. So you got to, which is understandable. I'm not knocking it, but you gotta. It comes from a lot of reps. You got to catch them a lot. You got to know how they think. You got to know. You kind of got to know what motivates them, what calms them down. There's some guys you pull them up by their shirt collar and tell them, get it together, because you're doing terrible. And then there's some guys you kind of finesse a little bit. It's kind of knowing your pitching staff, knowing when guys. It's really just knowing the player. So good catchers and good pitching staffs have a catcher that know how to almost manipulate them to a degree. Sorry, my dogs are barking.
Sorry, we all got dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, they're disagreeing with you, Landis. They're on my side.
Those pitchers are there, right there.
We love pitchers.
No, but it's all about you got to know them. Like, you got to know them, and it gets tough when you get a different guy comes in, a different guy comes out that you don't know once you get into the higher levels and stuff. But really, it's college. you should know the guys by now. If you're the starting catcher for a Division I program, you call these guys a lot even before the game started. You've hung out with them a lot. You know how their temperament is. You know. So I think harnessing that is really important for a pitcher.
So, you being a catcher, and Coach, I'll ask you this as a pitcher, but you being a catcher, you're gonna just catch more pitchers than the pitcher's going to throw to catchers, if that makes sense, because you're always out there. The pitcher's changing. During the course of your career, without naming names, how many times have you had to catch a pitcher that you couldn't stand that mother trucker?
It depends. If they're just burying balls on me, just wearing me out behind there.
I just mean as a person.
It could be. Personally?
Yeah.
There's been several. Yeah, several. But really, I've had guys who I, did not get along with, or we might not have been best friends, but we were always on the same page to win. So when that's the case, you kind of got two people going at it for the same cause. It can be very positive. I would say a lot of guys who maybe we weren't best friends off the field or really even saw eye to eye on stuff, we really were really good on the field.
You locked in with a common goal, thinking about nothing but winning.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Kind of being really real with each other all the time. I feel like those were very successful pitcher-catcher relationships.
Yeah, I could see that, because if it's a buddy and he's struggling, you're going to probably be, not like locked in like it's your girlfriend, but you're going to be worried about him. Hey, what's wrong with him? Where if it's a guy you used to have a business relationship with, you're going to go out there and say, hey, get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
They're almost like our wives. We did have to keep them happy, and I did. The catchers I had through the years, the catchers are great. They made me look good, but whatever they wanted, I usually got it for them.
You just bought them stuff, Coach?
Well, if they wanted a steak dinner and they needed an extra few bucks on the money, I'd eat the hamburger. They could eat steak,
Well, you go Coach, are you running errands for Landis or the catchers? Or are you
he was his coach. He didn't catch for him personally.
Well, there's a limit, but no, I tell you what, I can speak personally. I kept my catchers happy. When I was, y'all remember Jim Raleigh at ECU? That was back a long time ago, but he broke his ankle walking to class, and he was out. And we had, just a crazy freak thing. And we had a new catcher come in, and all those pitchers were like, "Oh my gosh, it's the new kid on the block." But you have to, like Landis was saying, whether you like them or not, or don't see eye to eye, or you haven't pitched to them enough to know them, you've got to pull it together, because you're at one ultimate goal is to win. And the last thing that you want your catcher to do is have lack of confidence, and he's catching you.
Yeah.
That you don't want that at all. So there has been times as a pitcher, most time, Landis and the catching crew calls timeout. Hey, Hill, you got to get together, man. Stay focused. You're a little bit too amped. I would call timeout and call him here. Maybe he's dropped a couple balls or whatever, and the role was reversed in trying to get him calmed down. Whatever, bad day, new catcher, tight ball game, and you could see it in his eyes, with the mask on, and call timeout. So it's a give and take relationship. As Lana said, catchers did baby us, but me personally, I took care of my catchers. I can tell you all through my career, I made sure of that. They were my best friend.
What's the best restaurant you took your catchers out to?
This is going to go way back.
Arby's?
No, it was here in Greenville, and times were tough back then. But it was the Beef Barn.
Oh yeah,
the Beef Barn.
Wow,
I was broke for a week. I was broke for a week.
But your catcher actually
did it pay off?
They did.
Yeah, I was just enticing them a little bit. It was when I was at Westland and I came back and I said, man, I'm gonna take you out to this great place and stuff. I actually didn't eat a hamburger. I ate steak that night too, but had a good old time. He said, man, you good guy, man. And you didn't have to do that. I said, oh, yes, I do.
Let's go to Josh Thomas. We got a couple more comments, guys, and a question. Wow, though, last year we were rotating in Rhino to catch on Saturdays, but this year Walker has caught every inning so far.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Y'all talk about that. How,
Landis, hit on that, buddy.
He's, I'll say the guy that's starting every day is pretty good. He's pretty good. He's very calm. For the catcher, you want a guy who's kind of just under control. They used to tell me, I always say I hit well, but I didn't really learn to hit till I was later. I was more defensive for a long time. And they told me your job is to catch the ball. Your job is to run the game. Your job is to keep the pitching staff right. So I think he does a great job of that. He has a cannon too. So
yeah, he does.
Running game. I mean, he really does. I see it, it's consistent too. So I don't know behind the scenes what's going on with that, to be honest with you. But I don't see why not. He keeps the ball off the backstop. He receives well.
How much can you do that? When you're playing 4 and 5 games a week, how long can you do that before you're going to need a day off?
Yeah, you're going to need a day off eventually. Now, luckily with college, it's not every day. So usually minor leagues, you could go 6 days, take a 7th day off if you got a guy that they just want back there. But with ECU, I'm assuming they're going to work them in just to give them some experience this year. I would assume, really I would.
Yeah, and once you get into those, I would think, maybe I'm wrong, but once you get into those, we've done it a little, but we're going to have a lot more weeks where you have 2 midweek games plus weekends. I would imagine at some point, like you said, they're going to have to work in another catcher and give him a day off in the midweek or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to have to because I hate to say this, but you never know. Guy could go down.
Yeah.
The catching is not really just something. Not many guys can just jump in and do it because usually, no matter how good you are, it takes a bit to get the rust knocked off. So I would assume they're going to mix in the other guy. I don't know. Maybe it's been such a tight season so far that they haven't wanted to budge on that yet. I don't know.
Or the separation that great.
Yeah.
Yep.
It may be.
You look at this coming week, and with we go on the road at Duke, big time midweek ACC opponent, and then at Rice, a trip to Houston, which God knows that used to be, Rice back when you played college ball. Landis, Rice was everything. They were College World Series contenders every year. But anyway, the point being, if you could go 4-0 this week, that's a big if. That's a big if on the road for 4 straight games, and going to Houston, you go 4-0 this week, it would be huge to create momentum for the fan base. But in you guys' opinion, I think I'm going to answer this question before I even ask it. But if you could go 3-1 this week, would you rather sweep Rice and lose to Duke, or would you rather beat Duke and take 2 out of 3 from Rice? And I think I'm going to answer that question. Conference play, you'd rather have the sweep of Rice. Would you guys agree?
I would have to agree. That be because they're looking at the strength of our schedule, as you were talking about earlier, Kyle.
Yeah.
And our nothing against our conference is a good conference, but you got to get the wins. And the conference is what's going to propel any ball team, unless you're winning week in, week out. Kind of a young team rebuilding year for us. And if we can sweep, most of our conference games, and we find ourselves at a 1-2 slot, or minimum 3, that's huge. I mean, that's big time. But it's always great to have an ACC win underneath our belt. I mean, that's a tough one, Kyle. But if I would have to go with 3 wins at Houston on the road. That's big.
Yeah. The Rice game, the Rice series is going to be huge for sure. In fact, Jeff Collins, Landis and coach was saying, "Happy catcher, happy life."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Josh Thomas was talking about for the Walker playing so many games, he can hit too, so that's a plus. Why he's in the lineup all the time.
Right.
For sure.
Well, as Landis was saying, he's got a cannon. He's a great defensive catcher, and he can hit. He would start for me like that.
Yeah,
no doubt. Coach and Landis and Kyle, Mike Refford says, can you comment on the defensive liability we obviously have at shortstop? I mean, is that too strong of a statement?
I haven't watched as closely enough to speak on that intelligently, so I'm going to defer to Landis and Coach.
I've watched. I haven't. I'm actually going to look up his stats right now to tell you. But from what I saw this weekend, it looked like the really hard plays we make and kind of the routine plays, kind of sit back on and make an error on. So, I'm not too sure. I got to look at his numbers first. But this weekend looked. I mean, I saw a couple errors, but it was almost like it was kind of like the can of corn, where it's kind of like just a right here, boom, and then drop it. But then the hard plays made those. So, I think it'll be all right. Yeah.
At shortstop, when you've got a guy at shortstop, I don't care. Well, but college baseball, they're one of the most athletic players on your team. They're one of the players usually have one of the strongest arms because, up the middle or a backhand over in the 5-5 slot between, third and short, which is a heck of a play. and what I've seen through the years and what Landis was talking about, sometimes, sometimes they try to do a little bit too much. Maybe sitting back on the ball, rely on my arm, or it's, and maybe they're a little amped up, a little bit too aggressive, and that hop kind of hots them at times. That's a tough spot. Shortstop's tough. I didn't play shortstop. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So the shortstops out there, at D1 level, they're there for a reason, and the coaching staff sees something in that shortstop that can help their team, whether it's defensively, got an average arm or a heck of an arm, but they're the best that they see, and a lot of second basemen end up being shortstops. It's not that they can't make the throw from short; it's just you may have a heck of a shortstop. Over there. Maybe he's a little bit more defensively on that side, than your second baseman. But your second baseman's got a heck of it. It's crazy. But, I think Cliff has got him there for the reason, all the right reasons for, the team. And, Landis, the game I know you saw, Saturday's game?
Yeah, I went all three on this weekend.
Okay.
Nice.
Did he made a couple errors that game, or was it?
I saw one today. I didn't. I'm looking at the numbers right now. It looks like he's fielding at a 9-10 clip with 8 errors and 54 attempts. So that is a bit low, to be honest with you. But again, it looks like the errors for me aren't on. It looks like it's on a routine thing, like doing too much on a routine thing. So
right.
So what we're probably Coach Cliff Godwin is probably seeing is the kid has an incredible ability to make the big play. Probably, has more ability to make the big play than anybody else on the team. That's why he's starting.
Correct.
But he tends to screw up routine plays. And sometimes, which and I'm not in the clubhouse, but sometimes when you got a guy doing that, trying to do too much, sit his ass down, put a guy in who can make the routine plays, and then when he realizes he needs to do that and focus on making the routine plays, the big plays will just come. Get him back out there, and he'll start doing that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you've seen times where like you said, he's doing too much. And you shift him over here or sit him and put somebody else in there, and he gets hungry. And next thing you know, he's, settled in. It's great. Baseball's crazy.
and could it also be mentally where he?
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it is. Trying to do too much. And I mean, again, all positions are important on the team. But, to be stuck at shortstop, and I don't mean stuck in a bad way. I mean, that's an honor to be playing shortstop for East Carolina.
Right.
He may be putting a little bit too much pressure on himself, and like Kyle will say, maybe relax a little bit more, maybe some extra reps, after and they do all that stuff. I'm not saying that they don't do it by no means. Change it up a little bit, do something a little different, one day versus the next day. Mindset, I think, is the biggest, in baseball as far as, Dave, what you were talking about mentally. Mix it. I know I used to mix it up. I had my same routine. I'm very superstitious as a pitcher. Put on the same sock, same way. Wouldn't wash them until I lost, which, hope it was for a long time.
Did you ever have a bloody sock, Coach?
No, I had some stinking socks, and they warned me I couldn't bring them on the bus or the plane, and I put them in a plastic bag and tie them real tight and stick them down in my tote bag. Wouldn't let anybody touch them.
Well,
but
I'm sure nobody wanted to.
No, they didn't. But I think it's mental. He'll work through it. Because he wants to succeed. He wants to, show, hey, Coach, you got the right guy at shortstop, and I'm going to step up for you.
No doubt. By the way, Josh says, not sure what defensive liability Mike is talking about. We had a couple double plays today and looked good from there all weekend.
And that might be it. It might be the double play situation. It might be the way he plays with Dixon. It might be he's the only one, or he knows the defense alignment the best. Maybe he knows how to run the infield the best. So,
yep.
I know there's some errors there, but that's a lot of attempts. And again, shortstop's not. Yeah.
And 9-10 is not shabby, right? I mean, 9-10 is pretty good for fielding percentage, right?
Not bad. It's not.
Yeah. It's not great. It's not great. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But it's not the comment about the defense. I think that's a little strong. That's why I thought that was the case, but I wanted to put it out there.
True.
Well, the key thing is if the errors are coming on, routine plays, and he can make the big plays, then it is mental. He just needs to make the routine plays and let the big plays come when they come.
Trying to do too much sometimes. I mean, that I can speak, as a player and the players I've coached, just trying to do too much.
Johnny says Braden is looking like the perfect guy to fill the leadoff role. He's batting .475 in the last 12 games with 10 walks, 4 hit by pitches, and has scored 17 runs. His base stealing technique is a work in progress with a huge upside.
Yeah, that's what you want from a leadoff guy right there.
That's huge. Yeah.
75 is not – that's really good.
That's huge. That's huge.
No doubt. This is a question for both of y'all, and Kyle knows his friend James is a big Southern Miss guy, so I wanted to go back to that one because it would have made sense to put this question in with what we were talking about. James says, ask Landis if the Southern Miss EC baseball game is huge a rivalry as a Southern Miss versus EC football.
Well, he didn't play it. Landis didn't play at East Carolina, but during that time where East and when Coach Hill played at East Carolina, they were in the Colonial.
Correct.
So during the Conference USA days, I'll answer it. During the Conference USA days, James, the Southern Miss East Carolina's baseball series, once Southern Miss's baseball program, who built through the 2000s. And then, capped it off with a World Series appearance several years back. Once they got their program on the level at East Carolina, it was huge because at one point in Conference USA, when we first joined Conference USA, it was East Carolina, Rice, Tulane, and then it was East Carolina, Southern Miss, Rice, battling with Houston sprinkled in there too, back in the old Conference USA days. So I don't think the rivalry between East Carolina and Southern Miss in baseball, it was good, but it never reached the intensity of the East Carolina Southern Miss rivalry in football from the old Conference USA days. And of course now, East Carolina and the American, Southern Miss is in the Sun Belt. We don't play each other in anything anymore. But one time, very intense football rivalry, and the baseball rivalry was getting there.
And we could play for football.
Yeah, there's some rumors out there that there's going to be a non-conference series with Southern Miss in football, but only time will tell.
Look, I'm not saying we have to play them every year in football, but having them sprinkled on the schedule, I would be down for that for sure.
Yeah, no, the game in football always meant a lot. Back to the old Southern Independent days, and then of course through Conference USA, it was huge in football, 80s, 90s, through the 2000s, and it should be played. Do a home and home, even if it's just a home and home every once a decade. One game in Greenville, one game in Hattiesburg. Every 8 to 10 years. The game doesn't need to just be completely go away for forever. And who knows, with the way conference realignment goes, if East Carolina, look, if the American loses any more teams down the road to the new pretend Pac-12, or if the ACC gets raided and we're left out, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit for the Sun Belt at that point.
Well, here's the thing. I'll just say this. If you've been watching March Madness in basketball, the ACC better step it up, because ACC.
No, it's all Big Ten, SEC now, and everything, and it's getting to the point where it's sickening.
Yep.
Yeah. Duke looked good today, though. Good gracious.
They did.
They're the only ACC team left in the field.
Yeah. Yep. But it was something like what I was thinking about, guys, to relate this to baseball. The SEC got something like, I want to say, was it 14 teams in for basketball? It was a lot. And the same thing for
16, I think.
I understand the baseball. Let me just say this, to be fair to the SEC. I understand.
Oh, yeah, please be fair to the SEC.
I know. That's
what
we strive to do here on this show. I'll be fair to the SEC for baseball, that I understand why they get a lot of teams that you can put in there. I'm sorry, but the SEC is not God, and the SEC does not.
No, the Big Ten is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Kyle just said, "Who's your daddy?"
They both can go suck up. We'll go with egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 14 out of 16 teams.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous that amount. But I don't want to waste our time talking about the SEC and basketball.
Well, we'll end it with this. We're going to wrap this up. Just a broad picture of things, and painting with it's all about money. And I think what the Big Ten and SEC is going to realize foolishly over time is as you condense down and you make it all about those two leagues more and more, you're going to turn off more and more people. And it ain't the NFL, and it ain't the NBA, and it ain't Major League Baseball. We have those things if we want to watch them. And, I think the SEC and Big Ten is going to go too far one way, and they're going to sign some big-time TV contracts to be the only two major shows in town eventually. And everybody else is going to be playing college athletics, and they're going to be playing pro, and they're gonna find out that suddenly your East Carolina fans and your NC State fans and your Mississippi State's in the SEC, for example, but you get what I'm saying. Your fans of schools that are not Big Ten or SEC are going to quit watching the Big Ten and SEC when they finally break away, and that is going to happen at some point.
Yep.
So we'll do the last word here for as we wrap things up. Landis, thank you so much, man, for coming on. You're welcome anytime, like I told you at the beginning.
Thank you so much.
And we've enjoyed having you on. And certainly, Coach, he had to invite a catcher on, so I guess so. Yeah,
I did.
You kind of that way you could even things out. But who wants to go first to give your last thoughts on maybe if you want to talk about this week or the week ahead?
Yeah, I'll give mine real fast first. Good to go 3-1 for the week. Start off 3-0 in conference. We got 4 road games this week at Duke. Need to get that ACC win, but more importantly, if you can start off 6-0 in conference, you are in a major advantage. You have a game or two to give down the stretch. So be huge if we can find a way to go on the road and sweep Rice. So big week ahead, both conference and non-conference.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
What about you, Galandis?
Yeah, I think the goal would be get those conference wins and then get in that postseason any way you can, because it really don't matter if you get in the postseason. It really don't matter till the end of the year. Whoever gets hot at the right time. So I'd say that's the goal: get into the postseason as easy as
Exactly.
And as you heard it here first, as Kyle said, when I made the mistake of how many wins, we're 15-9. So hey, what if we go 4-0 next week? We can talk about 19 wins. That's where I want to be. But hey, if we have 18 wins, I'll obviously take that too. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming on. It means a lot. Thanks, Coach Hill. Thank you, Landis. Thank you, Kyle. And you've been watching and listening to Extra Innings, Season 7, right here on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody, and go Pirates.
You're watching the Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.